The following is brought to you in part by Patrick McLaughlin of Douglas Elliman Real Estate. And by a donation from the Melissa Cohn Group with William Ravis Mortgage. More information at raveis.com.
Tumbleweed Tuesday, ain't nobody seen me around. Yeah, I love Bridget and Bill. It seems like they done left this town.
On a slow, sleepy, and perhaps hungover Sunday in September, it is Labor Day weekend. This is AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill. Pass the Tylenol. We are here for the hour.
And with our one-man band, Jim Turner over there, making up stuff.
Yeah, we got our own song.
Yeah, we did. Thanks, Jim.
That's
About
gonna
time.
cost us. That's going to be expensive.
Give me the finger, you know.
So,
Give me the finger. There you go.
boom. Jim, how was your summer? How was your summer vacation?
Well, I'm still in it. Oh, that's right. How was it? Well, I'll tell you, they really worked me, and I raised my notch. I got to the next level. Lots of gigs, lots of playing. Long story. It was hard. It was hot. A lot of money, a lot of sweat, a lot of fun.
Wow, we asked, didn't we? Well, the notch has been raised. It is the end of the summer, and yet Patrick McLaughlin, who's one of our frequent guests, will tell you that September is the new May in the Hamptons.
Come on. Everything's the new something.
Well,
Why can't things just stay the way they are? Damn it.
You're just jealous. You want to be the new something.
Well, I'm going to be 60, and that's the new 40. I've heard. Maybe I
for
made that
some
up.
It might be. No, you look amazing.
Well, listen,
no one would.
our
People
show-
listening to this on the radio would not
Would
believe
not know that I
you're
was
gonna be
60.
anything
I know. I
close
like
to
to say it. I like to say I'm going to be 60, and people go no, but I think they just are being polite. But listen, we've got a great lineup today.
Tell me
Very
about
different.
it.
September potpourri, because we just couldn't kind of come up with a really good theme this year.
Well, we weren't supposed to admit that.
Well, that's what wear my heart on my sleeve and in my tongue. So, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But we have Stephanie Krikorian coming on today, who is an incredible writer, and I really love this. She's one of the best ghostwriters in the universe. But how do you prove something like that?
When you see Casper or
No, right. Any of those
Bluebeard, any of the great
Not the
ghosts,
Haunted
that's
Mansion,
her.
because they clearly had
No,
someone else
that was a bomb right along with Oppenheimer,
Yeah,
but in the wrong way. I mean, yeah, that was. We're going to talk, by the way, to a filmmaker.
Yes, we are.
And,
Ramfis Myrthil. He's an independent film producer, and his films get made.
What's that like?
He's successful. Exactly. What the hell? And then we have your friend and mine, Ben Douglas, from Maine Prospect.
Yeah. Now, when we say how did we spend our summer vacation, I was doing stand up at his Maine Prospect, and he is a very innovative East End restaurateur. He's going to tell us all about whether or not in the fall you can still get into restaurants. Obviously, you can get more easily into places, but are the pop-ups, for example, are they all still here? He also runs a million other businesses out of that space in Southampton. They're all fascinating, and they all involve local talent, and he keeps people employed year-round. So we're going to learn a little bit about running restaurants on the East End of Long Island.
While you were busting your ass doing your flop sweat stuff on the stage on Wednesday nights, I was sitting and meditating and doing Ayurveda stuff up at Kripalu.
People who follow you on social media could become very alarmed at some of at how candid you are about what you're going through and what you're feeling, and you've been in the process of becoming a Zen yoga person.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because our first guest, Stephanie Krikorian, wrote an amazing book called Zen Bender, where she went on like a bender trying all of these things, and I think maybe I'm in the middle of a Zen bender myself.
She also wrote last month about pickleball. Are you and I the only two people that don't play pickleball?
I don't even know what
in the
pickleball
Hamptons?
is. I mean, I hope pickles are involved because I love pickles, but I don't think they are. And then I'm very curious as to why it would even be called pickleball. Why would you tempt me with promises of pickles and just have balls? Anyway.
That's outrageous.
Wow.
Wow.
I did. Okay.
Wow. I think we just proved this is NPR where you can say anything and there's no editing.
Should we call up our first guest? What
Yes.
do you wanna do?
In the meantime, ask your doctor about AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill, and if they like the show, please get a second opinion.
Definitely.
Introduce us now to the great
Stephanie Krikorian, who is a writer. She writes about everything, but we're here in particular to talk about all things Hamptons. Had a piece in Vanity Fair last month. You're writing for was it the New Yorker or what?
I did a piece for New York. I'm a contributing writer for Vanity Fair. So
And
I
Oprah.
A long time ago.
Long time
Some
ago.
Oprah. And this summer.
But you're here anyway.
It's still on your bio.
that was a while ago. But yeah, New York.
When did she stop? When did you stop being one of her favorite things? What happened there?
I wrote one of her favorite things.
Oh, you did?
It was a headband. This was like, it was 75 words, so I probably got 75 cents or something for, and it was, they were taking pitches on favorite things, and it was a headband.
Headband,
That
like
sweaty band.
So
Sweatband.
you found the headband, pitched it to her as a favorite thing, and that's how she puts that list
I
together?
feel like that's the way, but now I'm probably going to be banned from
Fired again.
ever anything.
You weren't
I
fired.
can't remember because this was really like, I want to say like 2011 or something like
it was
that.
a long time ago.
Yeah, and they were taking items, and then you would pitch the items, I think, or something, or they, yeah. But
I'm so naive. I always thought those were Oprah's favorite
I bet
things.
many of them are. I bet many of them.
Look at the back pedal.
Hey, I've got bad news for you. I used to edit the Penthouse letters, and let me tell you something. Not all those letters are real.
What?
Oh, that's
I used to edit the
discouraging.
Penthouse letters. The style sheet was amazing.
The stepmom doesn't come home and find. All right, wait.
A nose for
this show
sex.
take
I
this
know.
turn?
Well,
We
it's
took a
just
turn.
Bridget,
Yes,
Bridget's
we did.
feeling free and easy today. But your article, can we get the graphic for the recent?
If you're
article
listening to
that-
this, it's from Vanity Fair. It's about pickleball. Who was the first pickleballer, and how did this become a national, maybe international
Do
phenomenon?
you play it, by the way?
No, I have never played, but I think after this, the woman I wrote about in this article has offered to give me some lessons. So maybe I'll consider it. But originated in this, it was in the 60s. A congressman in Washington State, kids were bored, friends were over, and they pulled out
Ping pong. Right.
And a badminton net. So it was really not based on tennis, apparently. It was more based on badminton. So it was sort of this mishmash, but it really only seemed to get popular, 2020 or so, and now it's
And what ball
insane.
did they use in the 60s in Washington? Was
I
it
don't
a
even
tennis
know.
ball with
I don't
ping
even know.
pong
No, it wasn't a
paddles?
tennis ball. It was like
A wiffle ball?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
Because wiffles were big in the 60s.
Yeah, it was a real mishmash, and now out here it's like crazy. Everybody's playing
Oh, I know.
pickleball.
I know.
So your article was about
This woman
it being an equalizer.
equalizer. So it's a funny story. This woman, someone told her to play, and Liz is her name with L-I-Z-Z-Z.
Yeah, three
O's,
Z's.
not a
That's
typo.
not right. Not a typo.
And she
Because she
goes,
puts people to sleep?
I don't know. No, she doesn't. She's a real firecracker, and she plays every day, sometimes twice a day. And there's a public court in Southampton, and she shows up and she says, nobody talks about what they do. There's no status here. You just play. And so she ends up at the court one day, and she's paired with this guy, and they're playing, and she's bossing him around because she's an expert by now. And hustle, man, let's go, get to the court, whatever. And he's a NHL hockey player. He's an athlete. So it's a great story. But the thing is, she said it's like there's a Bentley parked next to a pickup truck, and it's this one free statusless place where people just
Well,
come
let's
and
be
play.
clear. There are plenty of private clubs and,
Yes.
and courts out here as well. So
Yes.
it's not.
But
I mean,
this
it's
is not being
great
a
that
public.
there's some public ones, but
Right.
it's also been embraced by the stupid rich who just need another thing to do and brag
Not
about.
all
And
rich
the
are
even-
stupid.
That's true. But
Plenty
the
of
even
stupid poor people too.
stupider ones are putting the courts in at their houses on their estates.
Yeah,
They're
but-
dropping six figures to build their own pickleball.
They're
courts.
smaller than tennis courts. So
Yes.
give us the specifics of
We're breaching my expertise, but I'll try. But I think you do 2 pickleball courts on a tennis court. So a lot of people are lining. You put the stripes down.
Yeah.
On your
I have no idea
existing
what you're
tennis
talking about, but
courts.
sure.
Yeah. So,
Sports.
So
Sport balls.
yeah, and the guy I talked to who does the courts, he's like, I'm not barely doing tennis courts anymore. 3 calls a day coming in to build pickleball courts.
And it's 2 courts because, like that old Jewish joke about the 2 synagogues, I wouldn't be caught dead in that synagogue. They built 2 of them, so they wouldn't. They only
But
play
listen,
on one of the courts.
you're more than just pickleball, Stephanie.
I
You're,
certainly hope so, since I've never played.
I promise you that you are. So yeah, right.
For the record, pickles are not involved.
Yeah, right. I know.
Much to the
I just
distress.
Made pickles. I just pickled some cucumbers, but
You did?
Yeah, I did
Wow,
some
you
bread
can
and butter.
pivot, baby. You are good.
Pivots.
It's a pivot away from the sport I'm
So
not playing.
what else? What else are you working on? Anything else Hamptons related?
Oh
Since
yeah,
this
that's
is-
sort of. I
yeah.
really have a lot of material with the bad behavior of rich people of the Hamptons.
Yeah.
It's sort of never ending.
What?
Well, isn't
Can
this
you
called,
believe it?
your column? Isn't it called like Hamptons Problems?
Okay,
that's what they give it as.
They give it the title Hamptons Problems, and I talked about the overwatering of, it's a very small group of people who overwater and are,
Their lawns. Overwater the lawns.
Yeah.
Let it all it goes out in the street. That drives me nuts. Or when the little sprinklers aren't aimed at anything and they're just gushing into the street. I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
Haven't you read Dune?
not
We're all
supposed to
gonna
do
have
that.
those
I'm
crazy
washing the
eyes.
streets. Give me
We're
a
gonna be
break.
wearing things around our neck with sucking water out of them.
Yeah.
They obviously haven't read enough Frank Herbert. So
yeah,
anyway.
they're draining. I mean, they're using all the water for Suffolk County, 50.
Oh wait, are we facing California, some kind of
in
a drought?
Well, we shouldn't. So the interesting thing I learned on this is we should have water out here for generations and generations.
Yeah, there's an ocean right over there.
And they've built all these systems that they should be filled. But last August it was hot and dry, and it got very low. This aquifer got very low, and they were like, okay, now it's severe drought conditions, and we're in moderate. So
Oh gosh.
Uh-oh.
Is this one aquifer that serves all of Suffolk County, right? Isn't it under the Pine Barrens or something?
I don't
Yeah,
know exactly where
it
it is, or there's a series of.
So please buy plastic bottled water and
No,
use
no,
that for
don't
your
do that.
lawn.
And
Wait a minute,
store
now
it.
we got another problem.
Or let your lawn look like mine, which is garbage. It's straw.
Or just do what Bill does and just drink bourbon.
Just drink bourbon
all day long.
It's better.
Where's that?
Wouldn't the grass like that? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that was one, and I did a story for East Magazine on that property at 44 3 Mile Harbor that used to be there was a pretty big disco scene out here in the 70s
I remember
and 80s.
Mellow Mouth and
Mellowmouth.
Jag.
And Jag.
Jag was after Mellow Mouth, I
Yep,
think.
it was.
Wait, this is not Canoe Place that was a
No,
disco
no.
in Hampton Bays and then a crack house.
No,
Okay.
no.
but
this
this-
was a series. Mellowmouth was the
By the
big-
way, that Canoe Place
It's fancy now.
mention is brought to you by.
It's great.
High
I love
crack.
Canoe
And
Place
it's
now.
super fancy now, yeah.
You just lost all of your.
Yeah. We're supposed to have them as a guest next month.
But no,
It's
you know
lovely.
where this
It's
is?
lovely.
This is 3 Mile Harbor. This is right where 3 Mile Harbor and Accabonac Road separate. It's always been a nightclub. The Spur was there for a while. All kinds of.
Oh, that little. It was Jean-Louis for
Yes.
5
Philippe,
minutes.
yes.
Yeah.
Philippe,
So what?
Jean-Philippe.
So
Jean-Philippe.
what's going on there?
Well, it was set to be demolished and built into retail, and its future is still sort of up in the air based on, the town. But I drove by the one time I'm out till 1 a.m. out here I did a Barbenheimer.
Oh, the one time.
Yeah, I'm home by 9, and I'm driving by, and it was clubby again. There was a whole crowd of kids and whatever, but the story, I basically talked about the inflection point, the moment where the Hampton shifted was after Jag. I think Mellowmouth was hot.
Yeah.
And then it started, fancy cars started to arrive and the money started to come in. And then it was just a series of crappy clubs, one after the next.
They should salt the earth. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but so what's going? It's somebody else's. Okay, we don't know what's happening.
TBD.
So now that we're in
TBD.
sort of officially off season, although I think people continue to rent things beyond beyond this
shifted.
weekend into
Yeah.
September, and some people even in October, so they can go to the film festival and blah blah blah. What are the
Patrick said that September's the new May.
September is the new May, which you didn't
I
believe.
stepped on.
Yes, you did.
But I heard you. Okay, sorry, Patrick.
So no, we lose sponsors left and right on this show.
And we're gonna. That's September Potpourri. No more sponsors.
What's the headline off season out here? Is it really since COVID a year-round place to live, and do we have Hamptons problems
Well,
all year long?
I wrote about that everybody's sitting on the beach maybe 2 years ago, and somebody's looking around, and it's September again, and they're like, nobody's effing leaving. And they weren't. And so it feels very extended. I feel like I used to sit on Wyborg Beach and there'd be 3 of us till 10 at night. Now it's packed and everyone's pulling up with pizzas and, and I think the whole thing the vibe has changed a little bit. They've extended, and people did get called back to work, but I think 3 days a week. And so Mondays and Fridays they're out here, they come screaming out. And so I do think it goes, I think through December we're busy out here.
So Tuesday is the new Monday. You love these.
Tuesday's the new Monday. Stop.
Thursday is the
Just
new
stop.
Friday.
I'm gonna get so confused. But Jim Turner played us in with a song of his own devising, which is about Tumbleweed Tuesday, and that's used to be the day after Labor Day. It was Tumbleweed Tuesday. I mean, you could lie down on Main Street, East Hampton, and take a nap, and no cars would hit you.
Not now.
And no, it's just crazy. So
I think it's been a busier summer. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I feel like the traffic was busier, getting in anywhere was busier.
Oh,
I don't know
absolutely.
if we're all kind of back to parties are back and events are back and galas are back, whatever goes on, auctions and all these things out here. Auctions.
I mean, I
seem
really
interesting.
hope that it helps businesses stay in business. That's
Yes,
that
that's
helps
true.
our
Extends
local.
the season.
our local employers and employees.
The
to be able to
masks
make
came
their
off.
nut.
They tried to convince us that people were traveling this summer, but as you just pointed out, I think it was more crowded than it's ever been. So
I traveled enough for everybody.
no one likes a bragger.
I know. Anyway, Stephanie, it's great. If people want to look you up or see anything, do you have a handle or something?
I'm Steffi Krik on Twitter and Instagram, and my website is stephaniekrikorian.com, which if you
Okay.
can spell
K-R-I-K.
K-R-I-K. Yep.
And great. So we look forward to seeing more articles about Hampton's problems.
As long as we're not one of them.
No.
Oh, well, now I might have some material.
Wait a minute.
Thanks for having me, you
Stephanie,
guys.
thanks so much for
You're
coming
welcome here
on.
anytime.
Thank you.
We
And
love
We'll stay in
problems.
touch. We'll stay in touch. We'll have
Super.
a cup of not water, like tea.
Super.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
So much. Bye. So,
Ask your doctor about AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill. If they like the show, please get a second opinion. You are listening to AirHamptons. It is the long weekend. It is Labor Day weekend. So I can't believe summer's over, and some will say it's not.
Oh well, yeah. But September stays warm. Yes. So it kind of feels like summer.
Yeah.
It's just that school. People go back to school. Yeah,
School.
I know.
Remember school?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Jim, you want to play a little music for us while we bring on our next guest? That would be you.
So we're going to go to the movies for a little, which is, as a favorite, as a critic, one of my favorite topics to talk about. And this is a friend of yours who is a filmmaker and is going to tell us what do you think of Barbie and Oppenheimer being the #1 movies of the year so far. Is that
Right?
a good or bad thing?
I know, and just how to go about getting films, getting their distribution and everything. It's such a different. Thank you, Jim
Thanks.
Turner. Thank you.
Jim Turner available to score motion pictures, and that's perfect because
We have Ramfis Myrthil here, an independent film producer, one of my friends, and just a lovely guy. So thanks
Ramfis,
for coming.
how was your summer? Welcome to the show.
Wow, it was well. First, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm glad
it's
you're
great
here.
to be back in the Hamptons. I've had an incredible summer. We started with summer. Technically starts May or June?
Out here at the end of April, if it's nice.
How the hell do I know?
Okay.
September's the new May. Go figure. I think it's just summer year round. So.
Well, started summer then, I guess, in France at the Festival de Cannes.
Oh,
You
yeah?
know, that was a very good experience. We did the international launch of Ramfis Productions.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the best movie you saw at Cannes? Were you able to get to anything? Or were you
I
busy
saw
this
this movie called Kennedy. It's like a gangster Indian film that takes place, I think, in South India. It was my first time that I walked the red carpet in Cannes. It was my 4th Cannes, and we were in the VIP box
cool.
with my buddy Carrie. Did a favor for the director, and he scored some really cool tickets, and it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you
walking.
get a 10-minute ovation at the end, like they say everything it can does, even
And I
lousy
think it
movies?
was 7 minutes actually. You know, so it was like 7 minutes. Yeah.
But
yeah.
you have a couple of projects that have come out this year, Unidentified Objects, which I believe we
Yeah.
have a clip of. If we could possibly line that up,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this before we go to the clip.
Yeah, Unidentified Objects is a little person, road trip, queer adjacent sci-fi film. And
Another one?
I know, right?
Good one, Phil.
And stars a little person, you know, not Peter Dinklage.
Do you always have to say that every time you say little person? It's not Peter.
Everyone
Dinklage.
always thinks like, you know, he's like the token
Couldn't get
person.
Dinklage.
You know? So, I mean, we did try. But and we did the film festival circuit for a little over a year now. We've played all over the world. I think like close to 100 film festivals. Won a lot of awards. We played like in Sitges in Spain, and at Fantastic Fest in Austin, and Outfest in LA, and just done really well. And it's such an amazing, beautiful team. Our writer director is Colombian. Our other writers from LA, and it's such a diverse team.
Well, I want
And,
to talk to you about that because you have a real commitment to diversity, queer, people of color, all of that, and clearly little people as well. And I want to talk to you about your mission, but if we can go to that clip, that would be great. This is a scene from Unidentified Objects, the film.
Do you have a car? I need a car.
You want me to let you, a person I do not know, drive my car to where?
You know, you'll get a tummy ache if you keep reading in the car.
Don't ever talk to me like I'm a child. You want to know who and or what I am, Winona? I am a homosexual dwarf in a world with little to no patience for bodies that are not of a highly specific make and model.
I don't think I've ever seen, you know, like,
What?
you know, like a person, people like you, you know, like in person, you know?
You and me, and sometimes other people, are more than the one or two things that they do. Andromeda's where they live. And then 2 days ago, I saw them again.
I promise that this will all make a lot more sense when I can show you
Show me what?
the abduction site.
The abduction site.
Screw anybody trying to control my reality!
Help! Hello?
This can't be real. None of this is happening. The world, it does not want us.
This is taking too long.
About you flash your tits. Hey, no, I was kidding.
Who were the actors in that scene?
That is Matthew Jeffers, the lead actor, and that's Sarah Hay, Emmy-nominated actress. And they're so kind, so creative, such a pleasure to work with. They were also producers on the film as well.
Does it have distribution? Are we
The
looking
film
for-
actually came out earlier this summer. You know, like I would say, this was
So
a
yes,
phenomenal
it does
summer.
have
So it came out in theaters throughout North America, and it's now on VOD. You know, or streaming. You can watch it.
So I want to talk to you just about the idea of being a producer. Obviously, I come from, Hollywood royalty, so to
What?
speak.
Really?
Shut up. I know. I bring it up a lot because that's my cash. That's what gets me in to the parties.
Okay, you're here
Not
now.
all of them. Anyway, but my grandfather being, Mervyn LeRoy, producer, but he had the power of Warner Brothers or MGM behind him when he went out for these projects. He read Gone with the Wind and, called David O. Selznick, you need to produce this. It is not that game anymore. How did you even start to produce a film? I mean, how do you get people to give you money? How do you, how do you choose a project? Everything is just so overwhelming to be a producer.
Yeah, I mean, I started as an actor first, and I wanted to have control over my destiny. And being an actor is like playing the lottery. There's so many variables in order for you to get the role, and sometimes it doesn't matter how great you are. Sometimes it's relationship based, or maybe you don't match like the actor's, parent or child, or, So I had met this incredible actress that was, looking to create her own material, and it's inspired me to do that as well. And I went to her LA premiere, and I met the late John Singleton and Tim Story and a lot of just Hollywood greats, and they're really receptive to me being like a filmmaker as opposed to just being an actor. So when I came back to New York, I started making my own stuff. And in the beginning, the stuff I was making was material that looked like me, like content and creatives, and, so it made sense. And along the way, I noticed a lot of like my female colleagues having the same struggles. So, I started making a lot of female-led stories with female teams. And then along the way, I noticed the same thing with my queer colleagues, having the same struggles. And that's how I kind of defined my brand, telling stories from marginalized communities, unheard voices. And earlier this year, I rebranded and launched Ramfis Productions. Because of my Haitian heritage, I really leaned in on Caribbean material, scripted and unscripted, and just making stuff all around the world. And in terms of like finding funding and financing, I'm the guy that goes to Art Basel you know, because my logic is that if you could spend, you know, 20 grand, 200,000, 2 million or 20 million on a painting or 150,000 on a banana,
Right.
you know,
And a piece of duct tape. Don't leave out the duct tape.
the duct tape.
Yeah.
You can definitely invest in film. And like this perfect example, last Art Basel, December of 2022, you know, I went to this like little taco shop in Wynwood, which is like this really trendy area of Miami. And there was these two women sitting across from me. One of them said, "Hey, you look really interesting." You know, I don't know if
You
it was
do
the
look interesting, right?
I don't know if it was the beard or the wood earrings, but she's like, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker." She's like, "I'm a filmmaker too." I'm like, "Oh, okay. What kind of stuff have you made?" And so, honestly, I'm not really a filmmaker. I invest in movies. I'm like, "Oh, okay.
come sit
You're
by me."
exactly who I've been looking for." And I asked her,
3
like,
days
hey.
later, you got out of that conversation.
Well,
they held you there.
About actually a month later, I had a film premiere at Sundance. She ended up coming to Sundance and hanging out. And she's like, "Hey, I want to invest, you know, like I want to,
awesome.
you know." So you just built a relationship. So I kind of go hang where like money hangs with money and money knows money, you know. So I go places where, you know, I can find money, you know. Well,
That's why we're together. We're both poor.
Which brings us, of course, to discussion of the Hamptons, because I've met you out here, and you are a frequent flyer in the Hamptons. Is that love of the place? Is that relationship? Is that a bit of a combination and looking for investors?
it's all the above.
All the above.
All the above.
Right.
You know.
And have you had
So-
a film at the Hamptons Film Festival?
You know what? I have not. I've had films play in Long Island, but I haven't had anything at the Hampton Film Festival. I've met the head of the Hampton Film Festival. Like, usually they want like a premiere, and the thing is that like if you play at Tribeca, you can't play at the Hamptons. You know, so it's like everyone wants to premiere in New York, so it just hasn't worked out.
Well,
you know,
speaking of
that way.
Tribeca, did you have a film at Tribeca?
Yeah, I had a film called Bad Like Brooklyn Dance Hall. It's a documentary film that follows dance hall music and how there's 14 parishes in Jamaica. They say the 15th parish is in Brooklyn. So it follows Saggy, you know, he's an EP on it, and Sean Paul, and many like great artists from the dance hall world. So that was just like a few months ago.
That's amazing. So now I know that you're working on a documentary about a charter school in Massachusetts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's actually a narrative film, you know, but we might have a documentary
Oh,
too because we shot a lot of
narrative,
BTS.
Right.
It's
The DVD bonus. Do they have those anymore? Anyway.
I don't know. I think we're a little outdated.
I still actually buy DVDs and collect DVDs. Big fan of that.
Well, then we're still relevant, darling. Okay.
Yeah, no, we shot in Springfield, Massachusetts. The name of the film is called Urban Ed. It's based off true events. It happened about 10 years ago. A school called New Leadership went under. The Board of Ed pulled its funding, and all these kids in this charter school had to go to another school that was overpopulated, was run down, they got bullied. So we were shooting in a school that was recently shut down this June.
So
That was going through the same thing. It was the sixth school that happened in the state of Massachusetts. So the writer-director was a teacher at the school, so he actually played himself in the film.
Oh, wow.
And we casted actors from the community. We hired people from the community. And the Board of Ed has gone above and beyond to try to shut the film down. You know, we lost our first location because the Board of Ed made some calls, sent some emails, and then they tried to pull our second location, which was the school that was already shut down. So the school is just kind of like, no, we're going to let them shoot because this story needs to come out. So we're actually going to be going back in October to shoot the fall scenes, and we're going to be going back in December to shoot the winter scenes. So it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
We have most of it in the can. And it's just a really important, you know, story. And
Most
message.
charter school stories are heroic and about how they're doing well. What's happening in Massachusetts that they're having to close?
Well, if you follow the money, you see there's a lot of corrupt, you know, people involved, and the Board of Ed had phantom numbers, meaning like students that don't really exist. And someone came in to clean house and do everything right, and let go of teachers that were not certified because apparently they just put anyone in. And as he cracked the whip, the Board of Ed, you know, decided just to pull the funding and everything. And it's affecting predominantly schools with Black and brown, people, so.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Ramfis Myrthil, independent film producer. Ramfis, if I can just pivot away from that for a sec, because we have about 5 more minutes left. You and I connected because we have a very spiritual side, and can you talk about that a little bit? Because
definitely. Yeah, we met 2 years ago, summer of 2021, in the Hamptons at an event.
And you came
ran
right
by
up
the
to me
Feely.
and you said something like, "I know who you are."
Yeah, I
was
did
like,
my
"Oh,
research and
this
due
dude."
diligence on you. I knew that you came from a very powerful lineage of Warner Brothers, and that was one of the things that really stuck out. But my responsibility as a human being is to leave the world touched, moved, and inspired, and I do that through the films I make, speaking engagements. But my spirituality is really important to me, and you being a shaman really drawed me in, and me wanting to get to know you and bond and build with you. So that's our connection, which is
Well, you have this wonderful. You have a wonderful spirituality about you. You have a wonderful energy. Do you put some of that down to your Haitian heritage?
I grew up Catholic, and I am still Catholic, but I lean more into my spirituality, and I want to say that my spirit guides and my energy healers has really helped me, find that lane. And my mother, she was born in Haiti, grew up in Haiti. She's very spiritual, so she's kind of like my mentor, my hero.
Your mom and your sister are adorable. I know both of them as well. So
yes, they're very spiritual as well. So I come from an amazing family and lineage.
What are some of your favorite films? What are your macaroni and cheese movies? Like a movie that you can put on when you.
I watch The Crow almost every month, man. I own it on DVD, by the way, so I watch it on DVD or on streaming. But The Crow.
Is there an audio commentary by anyone on that?
That's a good question. Love Gladiator. Watch Gladiator all the time.
Funny. Whenever I'm flipping around and that's on, I don't know how I get sucked into it every
time. Right?
And the great stories off of that film about like Oliver Reed and who passed away in the middle of it, but they were able to CGI him and put the voice of somebody else in there. A lot of great little side stories there. We came out of a huge August with a little thing called Barbie. I don't know if you heard about it, and Oppenheimer. Were you pleased that those were not franchise movies, that they were original as Barbie could be? They were new ideas?
I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, so it's expected anything that he does is very successful and it's done very well. And I'm glad to see that people are going back to the movie theater because when I go, I try to go, once a week. Sometimes it's only 5 other people in the movie theater. I remember seeing Air earlier this year, which was a huge budget, about the Michael Jordan, story.
Great
and
film.
Nike.
In my top 10, I think.
And it premiered at South by Southwest and just didn't do the numbers, you know. And I remember going to see it, and the night I went was pretty full, so I thought it would do well. But I'm glad to see that Barbie was able to break the box office, and Christopher Nolan did his thing, as well.
So you travel around a lot. I mean, just from what you've said, and I know that you're heading to Mexico City and all of that. So, you just travel all over the place. So do you attend a lot of these film festivals with products in them, or are you going to hope that you get something in them?
I always go to a festival, usually either with the film or a speaking engagement. So yeah, I've been everywhere you can imagine. I've been to London a few times this year. We had a film, actually Unidentified Objects, played, in London earlier this year. And then I was at Cannes for the launch of the company, and then going back to London again, to speak, and in India to speak.
You're going to India to speak?
I'll be speaking in Goa, at Film Bazaar. Yeah.
Have you been there before?
Be my first time to India. I've never been.
Can I meet you there? We can go on a spiritual journey
We'll carry
together.
luggage. We're coming.
I think that could work. We could make it happen.
I'm so grateful that you came on and joined us, and it's September. Here's hoping that it's cooler and less traffic.
And let's get a film of yours into the Hamptons International Film Festival.
We could work on that. I have a few things that, we're going into production on, so
that's great.
Definitely want to submit. I do want to give a special shout out to my friend Melissa Cohen. I didn't realize she was a part of this.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, she's one of our underwriters, and so has she helped put together some of the financing for some of the films?
So what I didn't say was I used to be a member of the Friars Club in New York City, and she was the one that puts my application in. So we developed an amazing relationship. I know her and her daughter very well, and she was actually supposed to come to Layla's potluck.
Last week, whenever that was.
Well, she usually does it the first of the month.
Right.
But yeah, Sarah Alvarez, her daughter, and I are very close. So yeah, I had no idea that was tied in. I'm like, oh my God.
Sarah's a guest on a show we do called Weekend Live that we just wrapped this weekend. We did it all summer long about what's happening in the Hamptons during the summer.
Yeah, Sarah was on a lot.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, well,
small
we're all
world.
connected. aren't
Forget
we?
Kevin Bacon. It's 6 degrees of.
The Ramfis Myrthil.
Thanks for joining
Ramfis,
us.
thank you so much. And if people want to look you up, I guess it's ramfis.net.
Well, Ramfis Productions. So RamfisProductions.com is the new website. Ramfis.net is still live, but I push everyone to Ramfis Productions.
It's RAMFIS, ramfisproductions.com.
Yep.
Okay, great.
There's a documentary out of this show. Maybe it's just me, and I know who'll do the soundtrack. Jim Turner, play us out. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Continued success. From the most expensive zip code in the United States, but you can't prove it by the building we're in, we are AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill.
Oh, I want to do one. You're listening to the award-winning AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill, proof positive that judges can be bribed.
Yes, we did win it. We came in second place in some kind of a Long Island media.
Yes, video entertainment. But you know who was in first place?
Everyone else.
No, your friend and mine, Gianna Volpe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She sat in for you a couple of times on Weekend Live.
I know.
And we had our next guest as one of our guests on Weekend Live.
Thank you, Jim.
Ben Douglas is a restaurateur. He's a raconteur. He's doing almost everything you can do in Southampton in one location. He's had Hannibus gatherings. He's doing stand-up comedy.
Hannibus, yes.
It's like Hannibal Lecter. And
Wait, did I say Hannibus?
Yeah,
Oh,
we talk about serial killers.
You talk
It's
about-
very Gilgo
Get high and talk about serial
Perhaps I'm on cannabis right now.
talk
I know that
about,
I'm not, but it sounds like maybe I am.
serial
Hey, Ben
killers.
Douglas, welcome to AirHamptons
It's
with
great
Bridget
to
and
have
Bill.
you on.
You're
and
lovely
I
to see
love-
both.
Yes,
Or
yes.
you say Bridget and Hill. No, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Bridget Hill and
Yeah.
Hannibus.
Right.
Don't make fun of his speech impediment.
No, I don't. No one has a
I
speech
know.
impediment.
Anyway, so Main Prospect, you have been just, so busy this summer. Are you going to continue with that this fall? Do you have plans in the making? I can't speak right now.
Well,
You take over.
Bill will tell you I always have
tongue-tied.
plans,
I
but
am. I'm tongue-tied by Ben Douglas being on our show.
when we built when we opened Main Prospect, the idea behind it was to be open the 9 months of the year, focusing on locals. So we'll continue with our jazz night, with our comedy night. We feature Bill McCuddy as our host.
I'm so sorry.
They have ripe tomatoes right there, and we'll give them
We
to
do.
you, and they get heaved at me, and then he turns them
Hamptons
into
grown.
a sauce.
Hamptons grown, right?
Yeah.
ripe tomatoes, and then we get the Bill sauce.
Yeah,
afterward.
we make sure we have the best tomatoes.
So what are the greatest challenges year-round in having a restaurant in the Hamptons? We hear always that it's getting help, that you have to, basically the smart ones employ people year-round to keep them.
Right, correct. So that's what I do. And it's been difficult. There's housing issues, so on and so forth, that stemmed all from the pandemic. But getting good help, quality help, is difficult for everybody out there. We still very much deal with a seasonal industry.
Mm-hmm.
It is better, I would say, than it has been prior to 2019, 2020, right?
Right.
But it is still very seasonal. So it's capturing in what we do at Main Prospect. It's creating and bringing back hospitality the way it should be, which is why we have so much programming. We do, like I said, the jazz night, the trivia night, the comedy night. It's a way to continue to entertain people so that they come, instead of doing what a lot of restaurants do, which is welcoming you in, charging you as much as possible,
Right.
and kicking you out in 90 minutes. We
Right.
enjoy folks to stick around and enjoy themselves and their
Jumanji.
family.
There's a pool table.
That's right. We have a pool table. We have an arcade.
family games.
Yeah, for the kids. So parents enjoy that because the kids can go into the arcade room and they sit at the bar or at their table and have a glass of wine.
And then there's a private cigar room upstairs, so the kids get introduced that at a very young young age, and that's a good
Perfect.
They do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, they have many. we
Baby's
have,
first humidor.
Yeah, that's right.
Ben, so before
good
this,
one.
you were
That was
doing
good.
the concessions at Cooper's Beach. Did you have a brick and mortar as well, or what, did you kind of jump into this feat first?
Sure. So I've opened a bunch of restaurants. I've worked around the country, Miami, LA, Vegas, New York City. My wife and I own 2 bar restaurants in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm familiar with the brick and mortar concept. But when in 2017 we started doing Cooper's Beach, which was great because for me it was coming back home. I grew up in Southampton, and really, I mean, Cooper's Beach is always in the top 3, top 5 beaches in the country. So it was a really cool opportunity, and for me it was being able to do something in my hometown. So then fast forward, pandemic happened, so on and so forth, and we had sort of said, well, we didn't want to pay $32,000 a year for pre-K in Brooklyn, so we're gonna move back home. So we moved home, and I was presented the opportunity to open up the old John Duck space. So it just kind of made sense.
Awesome.
The landlords are amazing to me. Quite honestly, I have a below market lease, so we're excited.
And your food honors a bit of your Vietnamese heritage. Is that
A bit
true?
of the Vietnamese heritage, Asian culture in general. Out here on the East End, you have a lot of places that have fantastic food, but in terms of diversity in that cuisine, it's a little there's a desert of sorts, right?
Where do you eat out? What's
Where
your
do I-
favorite restaurant
That's a
when you're
good-
not at your restaurant?
Oh,
That's
giving
good.
a shout out to other people.
I always enjoy eating in my local community. So I always enjoy going to the Fellinghams of Southampton. But I will say that throughout all my travels, I do believe that the Hillstone Group is phenomenal. So I do go to East Hampton Grill quite often. I mean their
that's
training
been there
program.
for a while now too.
And they're all over the place, right? So they had Houston's, and they have South Beverly Grill in California. So their concepts are always consistent and always the same. Their training is phenomenal. So
what's
I look
amazing?
to them
Everyone's your
as
weight person, no
Correct.
one person. I think that's a great concept. I think they
agree.
get you in and out a little quick there, which because so many people are waiting on you. But
Before McDonald's was as huge as it is now, when it still had like 37,000 served or whatever
Burgers
on there, instead of billions and millions served.
Yeah.
My dad always, wherever we went, I mean, if we went to when one opened in Paris, he would go and he would order the French fries, and he marveled at how they tasted just like the French fries in New York. So it's that consistency. And of course, my father was a restaurateur as well. And he just said, most of their food is crap, but they can do this no matter where you are. How do they do this?
Right.
How do they do this?
Right, and that's what
So,
we try to do. I think that all restaurants, regardless on the East End or in general, try to do, right? They want to have that thing, that craveable item, and certainly be consistent across their entire platform or their entire menu offerings.
do they have to be as expensive as they are? Does it really cost a lot more to get the materials out here? I know a lot of things went up during the pandemic that you couldn't get.
Yeah.
But everyone complains about how every year everything is more expensive. Now, not to give you a little push, but your restaurant is very reasonable.
Thank you.
But most of the places get the knock on them is, well, we're not going back there. It was.
Oh, I mean, I feel like
$5 for a bowl of pasta, or it was.
Yeah, it's like vituperative how expensive the prices are at some of these places. I went out with like 2 other people, and my husband and I don't drink, and it was almost $1,000.
Hold on, I'm Googling.
That's interesting because I was at a restaurant not too long ago out in Montauk, which shall remain nameless, but my wife and I were sitting out back, and we were having a glass of wine waiting, and this table that was had already sat, had their kids go out and play by the water a little bit, and then the dad came out and said, "Sophie, your $42 pasta's ready. Come and get it." And I had sort of laughed about it because of exactly what you're saying. It's it's a combination of things. Things are more expensive, right, since the pandemic. That's a given across the board, inflation, so on and so forth. But on top of that, we do deal with high rents out here. Even my rent, which is, like I said, below what I would believe the market rent is, it's still expensive. So yeah, some of those prices are warranted, but in a lot of instances, I believe that it's on the onus of the operator to look at their order guides, to do cross purveyor comparisons and negotiate better pricing and pass that discount on to the guest, which is what we try to do at Main Prospect.
So what are some of your items that just fly off because I'm starving right now.
Sure.
I want to hear about food.
Right.
Tell
so
me
let's
something.
ramp it up a little bit.
Yes, tell me about
So we
food.
have duck confit arepas that we do.
Wait, duck confit what?
Arepas.
Oh, arepas.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like the pancake things.
That's correct.
I love
Yeah.
those. Okay.
We do the wagyu dumplings, which come with a edamame paste with it. It's delicious. We have everything from duck and waffles to your traditional steaks. We have 21-day dry aged strip. Yeah, we've got
Or
a little bit of
pizza at
everything.
the other
or
end of the-
pizza, at the bar.
For the kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Or for the not for the for
or
the.
at the for the kids.
For the riffraff.
Or the riffraff.
I mean, Bill McCuddy.
But we have recently rolled out a very locals forward menu that we will continue through the off season. Specifically, it started on Thursdays, but I think we're going to roll it out to the bar. And I call it Throwback Thursdays, actually. So what it is we took a lot of the old Southampton dishes like Barrister's Burger or there was a place called Shippy's.
Shippy's Pumpernickel.
Shippy's Pumpernickel, but some of the older stuff that they have and some other old restaurants. But what we do is we're taking some of those old dishes, doing it our way, but charging relatively close to what
That's
folks
such a
were
great
doing back in the day.
idea.
Wow,
What a
10
great way
cents?
to honor the area.
It's not sipping soda where it's like 5 cents for a lime Ricky.
Yeah, right.
But-
Lime Ricky.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Remember those?
Yeah.
Remember at the Princess Diner there used to be those
That's right.
placemats and they had all the drinks on it.
Yeah.
This is why I became an alcoholic.
We'll have
High
your,
school, you could put gin.
Yeah, good.
We'll have your onion rings and your mozzarella sticks for $9.95, and in fact, our burger, which is 8-ounce prime, we're actually bringing down to $17.95. So that's fries, cheese, and everything, right? Which is just so weird that I'm talking about this. Like, I feel like a McDonald's commercial.
I'm
But,
starving
Pivot
now.
for a second
Yeah.
because you're going to
Yes.
continue doing stand-up, which is great. I'm thrilled for that. But you were in the Groundlings in
I
LA,
was,
and we
yeah.
lost Pee-wee last year. Did you
Last
last
month.
year?
Last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have any crossover time with you? And
No, I wish I did, right? But no, I mean, his presence was always felt around the Groundlings, as are a lot of talented folks that come through there. But his character of Pee Wee Herman by Paul Rubens, was developed at the Groundlings, which is phenomenal because they work
Wouldn't he
tremendously.
just come out and do the tequila thing?
Yeah, well, there's
that was
during level 2 or 3, you work pretty seriously on character development. So my assumption is during that time is when they did it. But,
well, wait a minute, back up a second. So you're talking about the program at the Groundlings, which starts you at like Scientology at one level and then audits you and moves you to the next.
But so does UCB. Doesn't
then the
UCB
next.
have like the Harold and Maude?
Did that too. I
but
did
UCB
Dianetics
has
too.
it. You did. Because my daughter's doing both
Ron.
Groundlings and UCB, so I know that they have those kind of like where you go
so
up
you
through
move
the
up
ranks.
through the levels, then you get to if you're fortunate enough, you get into Writer's Lab, and then if you're fortunate after that, you get into Sunday Company. And
who was the biggest name when you were there?
Well, folks,
Phil
had just,
Hartman, maybe,
right, so no. So I'm not that old.
No, I was going to say like Will Ferrell.
Well, Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry had sort of just had gone on, and I think Jimmy Fallon had just gone on as well.
As Sherry O'Terry often says about this show, not good.
This show?
That was all she ever said on Saturday Night Live.
She's my absolute favorite. I love her. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, to have been and to have Ramfis before Ramfis with Friars Club and you with Groundlings. I mean, everybody's got like a different.
Ramfis is shooting a movie of Ben right now, and he's already made a deal with
that.
Netflix.
There you go.
iPhone 14. No, and I also did a bunch of stand-up comedy, which, Bill, as you know, we commiserate over that on Wednesday nights. But it's been fun, and I kind of started the night and partnered with Felicia Madison at the West Side Comedy Club because I had that itch to sort of be creative in that way again, and I was like, well, I own this damn restaurant, and I got all this space. It's one of the largest restaurants on the East End.
And has it been a good turnout for the?
It's been
so comedy's on Wednesday, and when's jazz?
Jazz is Saturday from
right.
6
Trivia
to 9.
on Friday.
Yep.
And I have to say, when you talk to other restaurateurs out here, Ben is one of the heroes. I mean, you've worked a couple of places. You've worked enough places out here that you're pretty well known. Yeah. And what you're doing in Southampton, which actually would be its own show here on LTV, maybe, is your sort of wired in ways that a lot of people aren't as to what's going on out here.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm fortunate because, I am a local guy. I'm a Shinnecock Indian. I did grow up here. I did graduate from Southampton High School, but I went out and I also explored pretty much every major market in the country and saw some pretty cool stuff. And being able to come back and offer a lot of those different things that I learned in one place is my absolute privilege to be able to do for our community.
So what are some of the things you're looking toward the fall and the winter doing at Main Prospect, whether it's menu driven or entertainment driven or anything?
Yeah, so I leave a lot of the menu stuff. I work with my chef John Trzynski. So we come up with some pretty creative and fun stuff. We have a lot actually through September and October. We're doing a lot of like lobster bakes, and we're actually contemplating maybe a luau just before the weather turns.
On the beach?
No. In the
Right there.
we have that massive backyard.
Yes.
So
get
just some
laid.
Cool,
No, I mean, you'll have
the legs. He means they'll have the
flower thing.
Bill
I
McCuddy,
saw
everybody. Is
balls
this thing on?
here
Is
all
this
week.
thing on?
We don't work blue at LTV
Yeah.
and WLIW.
Yeah.
We kind of do.
Well, we kind of do. Ben, it's been just an absolute pleasure having you as usual. Main Prospect, what is the website if people want to go and take a peek?
mainprospectsh.com or at Main Prospect on the grams.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure. And maybe I'll come by the next Wednesday night and heckle.
Please do.
Bring
Bring
my
your
own
largest
tomatoes.
tomatoes.
Yeah,
Wait,
BYOT.
Gotta be organic though. We're in the Hamptons.
I've had enough of your.
And they're like $50
Yeah,
a pound. Okay.
easily. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks so much, Ben. It's been a real pleasure. Wow, we've had a really good lineup today.
Yeah, I'm as stunned as you are.
I'm so stunned. How did we get these people to show up?
There is nothing like AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill. Thanks for listening. And we promise there's a good show right after this. What are we going to talk about when we see you in October?
Oh, well, I don't know. Scary stuff?
Scary stuff also. Maybe we were alluding to the Hamptons Film Festival.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
and,
we should.
I'm sure we'll preview some
Ben.
of that.
Of course.
And we'll have Jim Turner back. Jim, how about a lazy Labor Day weekend song to play us out of here?
Support the fund drives anyway.
And thanks to LTV that allows us to shoot all this here.
And WLIW-FM for airing us.
Don't bump into that tumbleweed.
Roll that tumbleweed.
Looks like Bill and Bridget going out of town now, y'all. See you at Main Prospect.
Ben just gave you $20.